Greetings. My name is Jennifer Henderlong Corpus. I'm a professor in the psychology department at Reed College, where I have been teaching for the past 19 years. I'm going to talk briefly about mentoring students in a predominantly undergraduate institution as they learn to conduct motivation research. So I use self-determination theory as a framework for mentoring with the goals of supporting students' basic needs and, of course, promoting their intrinsic motivation. And with that framework in mind, I'll briefly describe a few mentoring practices that early career researchers might use to support the basic needs of competence, autonomy, and relatedness. So first with competence, I think at any level, an essential aspect of mentoring is providing appropriate structure for amorphous long-term projects. And this is especially true for undergraduates who have very little experience in the field. So in a research mentoring context, this might mean working together to define and identify weekly goals. It might be working through drafts together in a paragraph by paragraph fashion. In recent years, my students and I have developed a practice wherein we sit down together with our laptops and a Google Doc open with their writing, and we talk through the logic of it paragraph by paragraph as they read it aloud to me, which sounds painful, but it's actually been really helpful. Another important way to provide structure is to share examples from previous students. So whenever one of my students applies to graduate school, I ask permission to hold on to their personal statement and share it with future students. And then a final point about competence is that mentoring can be really pivotal for undergraduates who are presented with professional development opportunities for the first time. So things like submitting their work to a conference, attending a conference, applying to graduate school, applying for fellowships. They probably don't even know that they can secure funding in advance of being admitted to a graduate program. So mentors can help students engage in wayfinding around these new opportunities. Okay, moving on to autonomy. A key struggle, I think, for many early career researchers is navigating supervising student projects that may fall outside of the mentor's research area or are otherwise unlikely publishable. Now, those pressures are certainly less at primarily undergraduate institutions, but it's an issue for all of us. I also think it's an opportunity for autonomy support. So I advocate having really explicit conversations with students about the pros and cons of pursuing what I might call high-risk projects, or those that are outside of my area of expertise. If they stick more closely with what I know, I can be a better mentor. If they want to go out into left field, I'm at a point in my career where I absolutely support that, but I explain the costs, right? The onus will be on them for identifying the literature, and I won't necessarily have topic-specific knowledge to share. But I think that allowing them that choice and allowing them to take ownership is really powerful and serves as preparation for graduate school when they'll have to make similar decisions. Okay, finally, considering relatedness, I would say that one of the most rewarding aspects of teaching in a primarily undergraduate institution is developing relationships with students from their very first inquiries into motivation research to their careers as motivation scholars. And as mentors, I think there needs to be intentionality around the development of these relationships. So I would suggest taking part in any trainings that your institutions might offer around practices that promote diversity, equity, and inclusion, because that helps us think about how to be effective mentors across a variety of relationships. It's also really important as mentors that we create supportive peer communities for our students to build a sense of belonging. Many early career researchers likely have a weekly lab group meeting with students, which I think is a great way to build a sense of belonging while also providing motivational structure and methodological training. In my primarily undergraduate institution, I partner with our department's social psychologist for our weekly lab meetings with our thesis students so that they'll have a critical mass for supporting one another, even if they're pursuing different questions. So stepping back, big picture here, considering the three needs of competence, autonomy, and relatedness in our work as mentors, ideally supports students' motivation regardless of content. But for mentoring emerging motivation researchers, I think it can also deepen students' understanding of the value of these practices and in turn help to nurture a lasting commitment to motivation research. Thanks for listening. Good luck, everyone.